Welcome back. Okay, lesson number 3, week number 3. I guess we've officially done this podcast of Mom Tackles the Internet. Mom, how are you?
I am good. How are you? I'm
I'm
excited
doing
for this next episode.
good. I'm excited too because I don't have to do a whole lot because you're going to teach us all about domains and hosting because that was your mission. We had a little mission over the week of you saying, okay, what can I do to sort of prep for this? And
Hmm.
we are at the stage. We've talked about kind of what the internet is and how what a browser is and productivity apps and Google Suite and Word and Excel and sort of how the whole thing fits together. That was in the first episode. In the second episode, we talked about the browser and using a browser. We're using Chrome as a browser and kind of learning our way around what that is and how it fits together and what you can do with it. Now we are actually going to create for you your little piece of the internet. We're going to carve out a piece of the internet and you're going to be able to use that. And we're going to build you a website. Technically, you're going to build your website. But in that process, you're going to learn skills that are marketable to the rest of the world, to
Hmm.
many businesses around the world. So you can improve your skill set. So obviously we can deliver the value that you have to the world as it now is, essentially. So where do you want to start? Go ahead and tell us about a domain name. What exactly is a domain name and hosting and all that fun stuff?
Well, it's interesting. It really put, when I did a lot of the homework and trying to understand it, it put a lot of things into perspective. Um, of course, when I was in business prior, you basically went to the courthouse and you looked up a name of what you wanted your business to be. And so at that point, you would pay your $10 and your name would be saved. That was your business name. In the web world, what I've learned is that the domain name is also the address or your business name, but then the computer, the server, gives it an address, a specific address, so that when people type it into the browser, you know, well, of course, we're going to work on a website for myself, and mine is going to be Cassidy's Tea Time. So when I put in Cassidy'sTeaTime.com, the computer will automatically send it to the server, and it will at that point get it. That's my address. That's my name of my business. You can also purchase those domain names in a lot of different spots. I found that to be very interesting. WordPress offers it free for 1 year. And after that, you kind of really, you pay for it. I have not completely understood this part. I believe you pay for it yearly. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So then at that point, you will pay for your domain name yearly. Um, and you can purchase that in lots of varying different spots, I found. So I thought that was interesting. I did not realize that. I thought that when you went on to WordPress, you buy it there and that's it. Well, no, not really. You can go and purchase it elsewhere and then switch it over to your WordPress.
Yeah. Okay. So the domain name is essentially kind of your address on the internet. And then what is
Hmm.
hosting?
Hosting. Well, I liked how this was explained because, again, I need those visuals. And for me, it was very helpful. So I have my business name now. Well, now I need a place to put my business. So in the past, if you wanted, you put your business either your office space in your home or you would rent a building. In this particular aspect, I will be renting a space on a server. So I would basically just decide which hosting site is going to work best for me as far as my website or business is going to be. And I would purchase through that particular hosting site. And again, you can purchase those in a lot of varying different places. You have to do research to see which one is going to work best for you. So pretty much that was pretty much what I decided. The renting this space on the internet, it provides good design platforms and support and security. And you want to look at all those things when you're deciding on which hosting server you would like to use.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for a moment to kind of walk you through or walk everybody else through kind of what you were talking about. So you have servers, right? Servers
Hmm.
are where the hosting occurs. It's where you're renting a space for whatever your business is, right? Identified, like you said, by the domain name. Now, what that actually looks like, there's the way that the server works is there's like numbers, they call them IP addresses. And if you see anything that looks like this ever, it'll look something like that. Sometimes it looks even worse, right? With a bunch of different random digits. Well, it's like, that's how it knows like, oh, this spot on this server, or this spot on this server, or this spot on this server. It's these little IP addresses. And technically, you can type in the IP address and it'll go directly to wherever it's supposed to go, right? However, that's annoying and tough to remember. That's why domain name exists, because the domain name is a easier way. Like in your case, you were going to call it, Cassidy's Tea Time.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was like, Cassidy's teatime.com, and it was going to look something like that, it's an easier to remember domain name, right? Easy to tell somebody versus go to 123.12.123.12, right? So Cassidy's Tea Time goes to this spot on the server, and it's this server where you've got to rent, essentially lease out a space on the server for your domain name. So to your point, you own the domain name. You're the one that controls that. And you change essentially where it's pointed to. If one day you move to different servers, right? And you come back and you say, oh, I want to use these other servers instead. This, for that server, you would say, hey, I need a space on your server. And they would basically give you a location. And it might look like, 456.45.456.45, whatever. And they gave you a number. And then what you would do is on your domain name, you come to your domain name and you just point it and you say, okay, well, now it goes here. So now Cassidy's Tea Time goes to this space on this server. And this is how you can move your business around. When some people, you might hear people saying moving servers or whatever, changing hosting companies or anything like that. It's very simple to do. You just rent a different space. And as your business grows, that's what will happen. So in the beginning, you're going to do a small, tiny little server because they're super cheap and that's all you need. As your business grows, as you get more and more traffic, you might need to move to a bigger server, right? Something that has a little more power to it, something that can handle a little more in terms of people coming into it, right? So you start with these little tiny servers that are super cheap. It's what everybody should do, especially when you're just starting out. As your site goes, or as it grows, you go to bigger servers. And then as your site grows even more, right, you start doing extra stuff. You may be doing e-commerce store, something like that. You might need to move servers again, and you'll go into, again, they'll give you a different space, right, whatever that happens to be. And they'll, again, the numbers will change. Not important what the numbers are, just know that they'll change. And then you will change it again. You'll come back here and you'll point your domain name, which you own, to go to whichever server it's supposed to go to. And that's how everything sort of works. So that's why this domain name is so important, because you need to own this. And that's why you register it and you pay for it every year. And you will always own that. That is you. You're always the person that controls that. You control what it's pointed to. That's why it's important to have the domain name and why you register it for every year to keep it active. And then the servers are always owned by somebody else for the most part. Large companies will have their own, but for the most part, you would never do that. So it would just be renting somebody else's servers so they can maintain them, because they're a little complicated to maintain. Make sense?
Yes. It's interesting because as you're talking about this, it may be a silly way of looking at it, but the way I see it is it's almost like it's a storage unit. I buy a small storage unit to put my stuff in, and then I have to grow because I've got now more stuff.
Right.
And then again down there. So basically, I'm assuming from the way you're sharing this, that the servers, they give you a certain amount of, I don't know what you want to call it, gigabytes or whatever they call it.
Space, speed, bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So that helps me, in my mind, that's an easy way for me.
It's what the server is capable of doing, right?
Okay.
So a small business, when you're first starting out, especially if you're just trying to learn a blog and things like that, which is what we're doing here,
right?
You just need something small that just like lights up, right? That's all you really care about. No one's going to see it.
Right.
It's not, no one's going to be writing about you. No one's going to be linking to you, especially in the beginning. As people do, and you start having more people that look for you, you start showing up on Google search results, you get a little more traffic. Well, that server needs to be able to do more things. So to your point, you would need a better unit, right? A better storage unit. So this one might be like the non-air unit that's outside in a small area somewhere. Then all of a sudden you're like, well, I have to store some better stuff. So now you have to upgrade your unit to something that's maybe in air, right? And it's protected from the elements. And so then you would just, the map, right? Your domain name would point to this unit now, right? So it knows, okay, I'm going to go to unit B. And then as you're you know, you need more space because you have more stuff that you need to put up there, right? Or maybe you do different stuff with that unit. You have to upgrade the unit to a bigger unit. Again, just moving the domain name technically is what you would do, and it would point to a different
Now,
unit. Exactly.
how would you know when that time is to move that?
They will tell you. The server company will tell you. Things will get slow. They'll say, "Hey, you're running out of space." It'll be an obvious thing that you'll need to do. Yep,
okay.
100%.
Okay, that's simple.
All right. And again, I'm just going to put these in here just because you will see these from time to time, and it can look a little complicated when you're looking at servers. You'll see these little random numbers that show up. These are called IP addresses. It's not really super important that you know the ins and outs of them quite yet. Just that you know, like, oh, that's the actual real address, and this is the, you know, people version of the address, right? And you got to make sure that the people version points to the right IP address, right? So it goes to the right section of the server. So that's really it. All right. So that's kind of the idea of domain and hosting. Are you now ready to do both?
I am ready
and hosting?
I'm so excited.
So we're going to use HostGator. I have already given you a link, and we'll put the link in the show notes as well. So this is what they call an affiliate link. So this is one way that you can earn money on the internet. And I know you've looked at a little bit about affiliate models and things like that. So what's happened is I've given you a link, and we'll put that exact link in the show notes. I've given you that link, and what'll happen is when you click on that link, which you've already done, you go and it loads up this page because I told it to go to the home page. This is something I did because I'm an affiliate for HostGator. And then this kind of puts some random stuff in here. This just lets HostGator know that I, as an affiliate, sent somebody, right, in this case you, to this page. So now anything that you purchase from here, I will get a little piece of. Sometimes a company will give you just X amount of dollars. Sometimes they give you a portion of a sale. So it might be like, oh, you get 10% of anything they spend. Sometimes people will say, oh, you get $50 for every new sign up, right? So the affiliate program itself changes, but it is an important way of making money online because it's an important avenue, right? Amazon has affiliate programs, lots and lots, thousands and thousands and thousands of companies have affiliate programs. So we're going to do it with HostGator. And so I'm going to be an affiliate. I sent you the link. You clicked on the link, and now you're going to go ahead and purchase a HostGator account, and we're going to get it set up. And they also do the free domain for the year. So we're going to do everything here at HostGator, and we're going to do the tiniest one they have. Right. So it's just a few bucks. It's nothing major because we're just starting out. We're going to always try to do the smallest possible thing that you need to do. And then we'll upgrade if we need to, but I'm going to walk you through this process. And then anybody else is trying to set up their own domain and hosting, specifically with HostGator, would know how to do it. Make sense?
Okay.
Yep, so I'm going to ask you to share screens because now we're going to use your screen, and then we'll just pause the recording once you are, able to do the credit card part of it. We'll just pause it so we're not sharing that with the world.
Right. Okay, so you're going
to share screens. Go ahead and share screens.
Share screens. Okay, go to share screen. There we go. Come on.
Perfect.
It went back to where, is that it?
That's exactly right. Okay, so now we're going to click where it says get started.
All right.
Okay, so now we're going to scroll down a little bit, and you're going to see the different versions, right? And this can be very confusing in the beginning because you're like, I don't know what I need. So you see here, it says like the hatchling plan. It's got the baby plan, the business plan. Every company has different levels of stuff. So one is the single domain. You've got the baby plan that has unlimited domains. You've got the business plan that has unlimited domains. Well, we're not really going to be doing a business stuff yet. So we're not really going to worry about business. The baby plan, it's nice to have unlimited domains, but really you don't have different domains. You just have the one domain for now.
Correct.
So we're going to go ahead and do that $275 a month hatchling plan offer. So let's click on it. It says buy now there. All right. So now it says free 1-year domain registration on select annual plans, which is awesome. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So now we're going to go ahead and enter your domain, and you type in what you want your domain to be. Now, not always will this work because somebody might have this domain already.
Okay, now I have a question.
This is how we find out. Yep.
Does it matter? Oh, I guess not. It's not mattering whether or not it is capital letters or not.
Okay, so let's stop here. So you can see where you're doing punctuation and spaces.
Yes.
Have you ever seen a domain name that has punctuation and spaces?
No, I guess because I punch it in that way on the URL.
Which does what? Does it take you
It
to the
does.
domain?
No, it actually changes it, to be honest.
Well, it
You're,
doesn't
you,
change it. It doesn't change it. What it does if you just typed that
mhm.
into the URL, what would happen? Think back to week 2. We talked about how a browser works. What would happen if you just type this into the browser URL? Go ahead and do it. Copy this
A
out.
whole list. What am I doing?
Copy it out. Copy out what you typed. So Control A will select everything in that box. We're going to get used to doing keyboard commands. Control C will copy it.
Okay.
And now go open up a new tab.
All right.
And then we're going to paste that. Control V to paste.
Oh, I'm glad you're telling me this.
Now hit enter. So what's it doing?
Gives me a whole bunch of stuff with the word tea in it.
It Googled Cassidy's tea time. Because you put in Cassidy's tea time in the URL, your default search engine is Google. It wasn't an actual domain name, and it just Googled it. So all those times that you think you're typing in website names, you're not typing in website names. You're just Googling stuff. The website happens to show up most of the time, and so you click on it, but you're not actually going to the website. You're going into Google, and Google found the website that you were looking for and put it up there. But
and it just looks like it's finding words that I have put in there.
It's exactly what it is doing. It's finding the words that you put in there, what you call the search phrase, right? So you searched for Cassidy's tea time. This is all the stuff that pulled up.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I get it.
So,
all right.
So a domain name is what? What's the actual domain name for, like in the case of Google? What's the domain name of this URL? Nope. You closed it out. Go back. Go ahead and hit plus again. Add that tab. And then we want to go ahead and just go to, what's the domain name of Google? Just go to, how would you get to Google?
Just put google.com.
Google.com. Exactly right.
Right.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And then once you do that, you show me the domain name.
It already came up as Google.
And what's the domain name?
Google.com.
Perfect. Now go to the other tab. The web
one
hosting,
on the bottom?
the HostGator. No, your tab. Remember, you have tabs. What's a
go
tab?
Go back. Okay, go here. All right.
What's the domain name?
Oh. Cassidy's tea time, but it's different. It's written different. Oh, you mean HostGator.com?
HostGator.com. That's exactly right. So HostGator.com is the domain name.
Okay.
Right? So
I was looking at the wrong thing.
But you're not seeing punctuation. You're not seeing spaces because domain names cannot have punctuation and spaces.
Okay.
And what HostGator has already done, when you moved out of that field, if you look to where you typed in Cassidy's tea time, you see what it did?
Yes, it automatically changed it.
It automatically removed that because it knows you cannot do punctuation and you cannot do spaces.
Okay.
So that's what your domain name would look like. And when you're setting them up, it's always lowercase. Always lowercase when you're setting them up. Even if you typed it in capital letters, they would still make it lowercase. So because that part is there. Now, when you tell somebody, when you show somebody, you might say capital C, Cassidy's tea time, but it'll always be one word like that, Cassidy's tea time. And this example, we're going to try to do .com because that's the most popular one. So .com is the one you want to try to do. .net would be second best, but let's see if we can do .com. So we're going to select .com and it's going to search for it and say, does somebody already have this? And it looks like nobody has it, which is good. So now you can own Cassidy's tea time. This says, okay, it's primary domain. This is free for the year. Awesome. Now you can see there's a bunch of others with top level domains like .club, .site, .net. You don't need any of those, at least in the beginning. When you're starting out, just get the one. Get something up and running. And as your company grows, you might snatch up some of those other ones if you wanted to, but you don't need them right now. There's no point to doing that.
Isn't .com the most popular?
.com is the most popular. So that's the one you want, and that's the one that you've got. Cassidy's tea time.
Oops.
Okay, so now we're going to scroll down. We're going to continue our journey here. Okay, so hang on. So now it says domain privacy protection. So what this does is and this is where you have to watch out here because they're going to say all of them do this, not just HostGator. All of them do this. They all start with like, oh, it's only $1, right? And then you go through and you start looking at the fine print. It's important. So here it's domain privacy protection is the first thing that they're adding. That's $15 for the year. And so what this does is this keeps somebody from seeing that you own this as a domain, because otherwise you can look it up. There's a directory and you can see who owns different domain names. The reason that's there is so if somebody needs to legally reach out to the owner of a domain name, they have access to it and they can get to them. But privacy protection will basically say, hey, it'll be HostGator basically saying somebody with HostGator owns this. And if you need to reach them, ask us and we'll reach them for you. That's kind of what privacy does versus this is all of your information out there on the internet with your private details, your address and everything else.
I see.
So that's what that does. So that is up to you if you want to keep yourself private. As a rule, I would say you do that. I think it's important to have privacy in place.
Okay.
So that's what it would be. It's going to be an additional $15 a year currently for that. So then we're going to scroll down and it's already selected. So you don't have to select it, but if you wanted to take it off, you could. Now, if you scroll down, it says, okay, let's choose the hosting plan. That's what we looked at before, right? Now it's already set up to this hatchling, but what do you notice here in terms of the pricing?
It says that you have to purchase it for 3 years at that price.
Right.
So if I go over here, I'm going to see that they have varying pricing levels.
Right.
Right. So your cheapest price really is going to be for the 3 years.
Is exactly right. So if you do it for 1 month, it's $11 a month, month to month, $11 a month. If you do it for 3 months at a time, it's $11 a month, right? $10.95. If you do it 12 months, it's $3.95 a month, but you're paying for 12 months at $3.95 a month, or you do 36 months, which is the 3 years at the $275. Okay. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So how much would you be paying right now for your domain name?
I'm paying nothing for my domain name.
Good.
I'm only paying, it's only the security thing.
Good. I wasn't sure if you're going to get that or not. Nicely done. How much are you paying for the domain name is free. Now, how much are you paying for the privacy protection of the domain name?
$14.95.
Right. And
for a year.
How much are you paying for the hosting?
I would prefer to choose the 36 months.
Okay. So how much are you paying for the hosting?
$275 a month.
For how many months?
For 36 months.
Okay. So now we're going to select that.
Okay.
And now we're going to go ahead and do your email address. So this is where you're going to put in your email address that you're going to use. It's going to send you these details. This is the one you would use for your business. In this case, the site and all things related to this site would go to this email. So, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pause because we're going to do this kind of not with the recording. But you're going to put in your email address and your password and your PIN, and we'll do that right after I pause the video. So now you're going to scroll down.
Darn it. Okay.
And then here you've got enter billing information. This is the stuff we're also going to do outside of the camera, right? So we're going to fill this out. And if you keep scrolling down, then we're going to go through these. So we'll go through these. This is where we're going to come back. So just by the power of editing, we're going to basically show up here, but we're about to go through, and all we're going to do is put in your email that you want to use and your password and your PIN, and then we're going to set up your credit card information, and then we're going to end up here and we're going to talk through what all this stuff looks like.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. So now we have officially got all your billing information in there. You got your password set up. You got your PIN in place. So now we have these little add-ons. All of these do this, right? So the first thing is like this little SSL certificate. You've got Site Lock Essentials, right? To protect from malware, malicious attacks, and all that fun stuff. I would not worry about this right now because you're just starting out, and there are other ways to take care of security with WordPress sites. We're going to uncheck that. You don't need to worry about the visitor safe and build confidence in your website thing, that SSL certificate. That you don't need that. That was the top one there. Professional email. You don't need a professional email right now. You're just starting out. Your Gmail address is fine. So you don't need that. Okay. Backups. You don't need to worry about backups because there's other ways to do that with a WordPress site. So you're going to uncheck that.
Okay.
And then if you continue to scroll down, we'll say improve your search ranking and increase web visitors, right? So we don't want to worry about that. That's SEO stuff, but you don't have a website yet. So there's nothing for SEO. So you're not going to worry about that. Now there's a coupon code. That is the affiliate code. So that's how it knows. Oh, it automatically did that and knows that it's a coupon code and that it's got, the things in there. Now, now look at, now this is where we're going to review everything, right? Look at what you're paying and is it what you should be paying?
Okay. So email support, instant account activation, money back guarantee, domain registration free, Hatchling for 36 months, and hosting add-ons, and that is correct.
Okay. So
and then I've got my discount, and that's because of the Hatchling being a reasonable price.
Right.
Okay.
So now you're doing, so you've got 3 years of hosting with HostGator at this rate. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and check that box. You have read and agreed to HostGator's auto renewal terms, which of course you haven't, but you can always click them if you want to. Basically, they're going to auto renew this. So in 3 years, it'll renew at a much higher rate.
Okay.
But
now I understand.
Point, you're going to be moving servers anyway, probably.
Now I understand I don't have to auto renew and that they would go ahead and notify me.
They'll notify you, yes, but you need to turn off the auto renewal stuff because they will, by default, they will always have that on. Your domain name will auto renew at a higher rate. So if you scroll up to the top, or not top, but it's right here. So the domain name is $17.99, right? So next year, in a year, it will renew for $17.99 plus the $14.95 for the for that hosting add-on that you got, which is the privacy, right? So so that's, that's a lot to that. Now we can move domain names later. You don't have to keep the domain name with HostGator. You can move your domain name to somebody else and buy it from, have somebody else sort of manage it for you, which you'll eventually do. So for now, this first year, I think it's okay to get started with whatever the cheapest is. You're committing at this point to keep this website up for 3 years. Which is a long time, but if you're committed to it, then okay. So this website's going to be around for at least 3 years of hosting with HostGator. And at this point, now once you click on checkout now, it'll bill your credit card, the $121.29, and now you'll have a domain name registered, and you will have hosting for that domain name.
I have a question. What happens if my hosting changes in less than 3 years?
So you have flexibility with this because right now HostGator is who controls your domain name. Like technically you own the domain name, but HostGator is one that controls it right now. And then you have hosting also on HostGator, so they're going to point it to the right spots and set everything up for you. So it's the easiest way to get started. But as your skills grow, as your business grows, as your needs grow for the website, or if the website's needs grow, you can switch to different servers, to bigger servers that will probably cost a little more money. But at that point, it'll be worth it because your business will be making more money, presumably. So at that point, you can move servers. Now you can move servers within HostGator because HostGator has much bigger servers. And so you can move within them. And that's, technically, I did that for years and years and years. I started with HostGator when I first started my first website, and I did it for years and years and years and stuck with them, as my company grew. And then, we started using other companies as the company got really big. Right. But for most people, especially watching this video, certainly for what you're doing right now, HostGator is perfect. Because they're used to dealing with a lot of beginners. Their website support is really amazing. Their online support's amazing. You can call them up and they know, they know they're talking to people who are just starting out. So they're really good at that stuff. And it's not, they won't overly complicate it for you. And they'll be able to help you out because you're about to enter into a whole new world because you're going to have access to stuff you don't even know what it is, but this is the stuff you got to get used to in the online world. Just like when you get a brick and mortar business and you rent an office location or, a retail location in a strip center somewhere, so you can open up a store. Now you've got you got to clean the bathroom and you got to, you got walls and, electricity and everything else you got to deal with for that business. Now that you've leased it, same thing, but online version of it. So it's about what's about to happen. All right. So let's go ahead and click on checkout now. With any luck.
So excited. I'm so excited. Come on. Select all the chimneys.
Now, things like this will show up just to make sure that you're a human and not a bot trying to game the system. So everything that looks like a chimney, if anybody ever sees anything like this around the internet, that's all it is. So anything with a chimney in it. Looks like that's it.
I'm going to think that's it.
Yep. Sometimes they ask you to do it again, sometimes not. In this case, looks like the first time was just fine. Now it's processing because we can see that little wheel at the bottom. It's kind of grayed in the button there, but looks like it's processing. And there we go.
I'm ready.
Now they're setting up your account. So now if you scroll down, you'll see it says that they're building your account. And then what's going to happen is once that's done, I would just keep it here and wait for a moment. But once it's done, they're going to send you an email with all your setup directions and instructions and reference things and everything else. You're going to want to keep that email somewhere. So save that email. Don't delete that email. Just put it in a folder somewhere.
Yeah, they did send me an email already, believe it or not.
So that's exactly right. And that has all of the different details. So it's like, oh, here's your receipt and here's what you paid for. You know, here it might give you some numbers and stuff like that, kind of give you, some details around it. But that's pretty much it. Now here, this is their onboarding, right? So they're just starting you out to make sure that they're not going to overwhelm you with a ton of stuff and help you get started. So have you designed or built a website before?
No.
Perfect. Let's do no.
All right. How will you build or design your website? I guess I'm doing it myself, but I'm having you help me.
Well, yes, but that's not an option. So you're going to do it yourself. Even with me helping you, you're still doing this on your own.
Okay.
All right, so now you just switched that accidentally. So go back to that question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And this is an important thing because if you said I'm going to transfer to an existing website, they're going to say, okay, what's the website you want to transfer? And they're going to ask all these questions, right? So here you're like, okay, I'm just going to build on my own. Right. Yeah. So this is where it's like, okay, I'm going to do it myself. What's the purpose? In this case,
blog or informational.
Exactly. Yep.
Come on. All right. Are you interested in learning more? Oh, now, darn it. It did it again.
It's because you're hitting your arrow key, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to come over here so I can go down.
Just click on the scroll bar. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Are you interested in learning more about any of the following products or services?
Now, we're going to cover some of this stuff anyway. So right now, no, because you're going to learn this through this whole, Mom Tackles the Internet series.
Yes.
So don't worry about any of this stuff. We'll cover it later.
Okay. So I don't need to deal with any of that.
Nope.
So now I'm going to submit.
Yep. And of course, if you needed to, you could skip this stuff, for people that don't want to do this. But I think it's useful, especially when you're just starting out, right? Go let them help you. So now they're saying, okay, let's go ahead and build your site with WordPress, which is exactly right. So WordPress is a content management system. This is a fancy way of saying website builder, right? That's all it is. So lots of reasons to use WordPress. The first and foremost of which is it is free to use. Mm-hmm. And every single hosting platform, no matter where you get hosted, it doesn't matter if you use HostGator or somebody else, they all have WordPress installations and they can all set up WordPress. And that's why we are doing it here. And we're going to be teaching you WordPress as those lessons continue with Mom Tackles the Internet. You're going to learn how to build a WordPress site, how to get your WordPress site up and running, how to install a WordPress site, how to do all of that. So for now, let's go ahead and just, you can scroll down just to kind of show everybody else what this page has if you want. It's going to give you some WordPress. Hey, is it right for me? If I want to learn about it, we know that it is, and you definitely want to go that way. And we don't want to use these other ones. There are things like Weebly and Wix and Drupal and Joomla and Magneto and Squarespace and everything else. None of that is WordPress. And things like Squarespace and Wix are actually completely separate hosting companies. You sort of buy it from those platforms. So WordPress is the one that we're going to use. It's millions of minutes, like 35% of the internet is built on WordPress. It's a massive platform. So it's not going anywhere. It'll be around for a long time. And the skills that you learn in building out your blog will be important because you can then go to the marketplace, right? And say, oh, I can help you with a WordPress site because I know how to use WordPress. So that's why we're doing WordPress. So let's go back up to the very top and get started.
Get started.
So at this point, it's bringing us into their WordPress installer. So they're going to install, because WordPress is a software, right? It's a software package, and they're going to install it on the server. So it doesn't automatically come set up with that because maybe you didn't want to use WordPress. Maybe you want to use something else. But in this case, obviously we do. And anybody watching this also wants to use WordPress. It is the simplest one to start with. And it's the one that's, especially if you're trying to build skills for the internet age, WordPress is a great one. So what they're doing now is they're opening up WordPress and they're installing it onto your server. And that's what all that background stuff was. Now, what we're going to do is it's giving us the admin as your username and the password that's here. And then it's giving you a WordPress login. So this is the stuff that you're going to copy. And then you and I are actually going to change those in future lessons. I'll show you how to do all of that. So for now, I'm just going to blur it out in the video. So anybody watching this video, that stuff's all blurred. but your admin username and the password for your admin account. But what we're going to do now is we're going to copy those out. So you have those. And then we're going to go to that WordPress site that you now have up over at Cassidy'sTeaTime.com/WP-admin. That's your login as an admin. So at this point, I would just copy out the password because that's the most important one here.
All right.
So copy that one. That's the hardest one to remember. And now we're going to click where it says WordPress login.
Okay. Go to WordPress.
So that's WordPress. Does it allow you to click on it? It may not. The WordPress login, not you're copying the password again. So WordPress login. Okay, so go to WordPress because that's probably going to go there. That's your login, Cassidy'sTeaTime.com/WP-admin. So you have a website already waiting there for you. You just got to click on go to WordPress.
All right.
Let's see if that takes us there. Okay. So now you see this. So there's a setup issue that I think has happened with HostGator. It might take a few minutes for this to actually work properly. We're just going to type this whole thing in from start.
Oh,
so we're kind of starting over, but that's okay. That's all right. So we're going to do it. So just type in here. Do me a favor. Just type in Cassidy'sTeaTime.com. Just do that. Don't even worry about the HTTP stuff. Just type in Cassidy'sTeaTime.com. Delete all that out. Everything you have in there, delete out. Okay, hit enter. So we go to Cassidy's Tea Time. Okay, so now this is taking you to your site. This is yours.
Holy cow. Isn't that exciting?
It shows not secure because it's not a secure site right now. You don't have your SSL stuff set up. We'll tackle that stuff a little bit later. But this is your site. What you need to do is get into the login of your site so that you can actually edit and adjust and start learning how to use WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
So the way to do that with just about every WordPress site that's out there, if you go into your URL and at the end of the .com, you're going to type in something.
All right.
Okay. So at the end of the .com, so go //, and whenever anybody says slash, it always means /. Then WP-admin. WP stands for WordPress. -admin means, I'm going into the admin section. Hit enter.
Okay.
All right. Now you're at your login. This is how you get into your website so you can adjust it. So at this point, you're going to go ahead and type in the your username for the admin account that they gave you, and you're going to go ahead and paste in the password that you previously copied.
Control C.
Control V will paste.
Control V.
There you go. And then click login. And at this point, because you have LastPass should also pop up and say, hey, do you want to save this? Which it just did. And you're going to say, yes, add that. So now going forward, LastPass will automatically fill that in for you.
Oh, that's wonderful because I'll never remember that.
All right. And at this point, you have your site officially up and running with HostGator. You can come in, you can edit your site, you can build your site, you can do all sorts of fun stuff with your site. There's been some things that have been already pre-installed on here, for different things that exist. And so we'll cover how to do all of this over multiple trainings because WordPress is a massive platform to learn. But this is the point of this lesson of today's episode was really like, okay, you decided you want to create a name, which was, Cassidy's Tea Time. Mm-hmm. So you had Cassidy's Tea Time, and then you, I'm just going to take the screen back here. So you're not sharing your screen anymore. It's a little boring to watch that. But you're going to, now that you've got Cassidy's Tea Time, you decide, okay, I'm going to go ahead and create a domain name, which you did. Then you rented space on one of HostGator's servers, which you did. Then HostGator connected the dots for you. So the domain name was automatically pointing to the right space in their server. They kind of did that in the background, which is why you use the same company when you're first starting out. Just use the same company for both things, domain name and the server hosting. And then they said, okay, do you want to use WordPress? Which you do. And so you clicked on yes, do WordPress. They installed it in the background for you, and they got WordPress up and running. And you're just starting out, so they gave you some plugins and initial setups, all of which we'll talk about later because it maybe doesn't make sense right now. But they've set you up with a basic beginner's level WordPress site so that now you can go in and you can literally create Cassidy's Tea Time. So right now, you and anybody else in the world can go to Cassidy'sTeaTime.com and they will see the site that you showed earlier when you went to Cassidy'sTeaTime.com. Doesn't look like much right now, but as time goes forward, it'll get better and better and better. And we're going to start with our next lesson when we discuss themes and trying to, make Cassidy's Tea Time get a little more pizzazz to it as we go through. But in the meantime, for this next week, just think about what you want that site to look like. I would look at other tea blogs that you like, things like that, or other sites you want to model and say, I like this, or I like that, or I like this other thing. And then we'll talk about how to actually improve Cassidy's Tea Time. Sound good?
Okay. Sounds good. I'm so excited.
All right. Well, welcome to the internet. You officially have this is you planting your flag in the ground. This is yours.
I am.
So Cassidy's Tea Time is officially alive. And you got WordPress installed, which is awesome. So congratulations. Good job. And
couldn't have done it without you, sweetie.
One step at a time. All right. Well, good job. And then that'll go ahead and wrap us up for this week's episode of Mom Tackles the Internet. Thanks everybody for joining, who's watching this. And of course, if you have any questions over anything, pop them in the comments. We'll do our best to address and answer them as we go through these lessons as well. So thank you for doing that. And we'll see everybody on the next episode. Thanks. Take care.
Bye.